You are looking at the 2021 Ford Explorer. So this is brand new for 2020, and this is now the 6th generation, if you can believe it. And Ford says that this is the best all-time selling SUV in America. We see a lot of these, and I see a lot of these as cop cars, but this is not a cop car. This is very, very luxurious. This is the King Ranch edition. We're gonna check out the interior. So as I was saying, this is Del Rio leather. It's a two-tone design here. And so we've actually got leather on the upper part of the door. We've got leather here, and I think this is a really nice touch because a lot of vehicles have like hard plastics up here, and so that's really nice. You've even got leather on the dash. Now I think the wood is fake. I'm not quite sure. We were having a little debate earlier if the wood is fake. The seats themselves are actually really, really comfortable. This has a whole bunch of different adjustments. I'm not quite sure how many ways it adjusts, but it does have a lumbar support, and actually you can adjust the seat on the dashboard to sort of get to where you like. Tons of space up here, tons of leg room, tons of headroom. Overall, my impression of the cabin is pretty good. We will talk about this interesting looking sort of iPad on a dash a little bit later in the video, so stick with me for that because there's something that's not so good going on over there. But continuing with the good stuff, behind the front row, we have 88 cubic feet of storage space. And then behind the second row, if I can get this right, yes, it folded down properly that time. So behind this row, we have 48 cubic feet of storage space, so quite a bit. Headroom is like, it's pretty good here. I'm 5'9", and I've got several inches of headroom. Another nice thing is that these seats actually recline. Ooh, that's kind of nice. So I can get quite a bit of space if I push it all the way back and recline. Pretty easy to get back here. And let's see, so I'm gonna sit behind the other passenger, and oh, it's a little bit tight. So if this guy is sitting here, if he's sitting up there, my knees are like pretty jammed in over here. That's not so hot back here. I've got several inches of headroom back here. So like I say, it's perhaps a little bit constrained in terms of knee room, but you're probably gonna put smaller passengers back here like your kids. You got 18 cubic feet of cargo space here. So it's quite a bit in total cargo space. Even though I didn't do the math, Ford says it's 145 cubic feet of cargo space. But you can push them both, 1, 2, and there it goes. So that's pretty handy too. So there's one thing about the interior that I think could use some improvement. We got this kind of wonky 10-inch display in here, and I don't think it's as good as it could be, because if I'm using Apple CarPlay like I am right now, it's only taking up the top portion of the screen, which is quite small, and it's not super responsive. I'll show you what the navigation looks like though if you're using the Ford version of the navigation. And now I've got like the full vertical screen, but man, why is it so constrained to just the Apple CarPlay being in the top portion of it? Also, the backup camera, it's only in the top portion of the screen. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to use the whole screen for that? So that's just something I find a little bit wonky and could use a little bit of improvement. So when you want to get going, you want to get moving, this has a 3-liter V6. It makes 400 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. This is the EcoBoost engine. This thing is really quite fast. And if you're thinking about getting an SUV and you don't like some of the slower SUVs in the market, this cures all that. Now this is supposed to get 28 highway and I think about 22 city. I've been getting about 16, sort of driving like a monkey like I tend to do. You might do a little bit better in gas mileage than I might, maybe not. It depends on your driving style. Now one of the other things, there's a couple options here in terms of drive mode. So this is a 10-speed automatic. That's the only way that it comes, is with a 10-speed automatic, and the automatic is quite good. And this has the option of 2-wheel drive or a part-time 4-wheel drive. It's an on-demand 4-wheel drive system. And this King Ranch has these really cool 20-inch wheels with this cool little King Ranch logo right in the middle there. Is that a W or a snake? I'm not really sure, but it does look really nice. And I like these wheels, so this tells you that this has got a little bit of luxury to it. So with all that said, I think it's time to go for a drive and check this thing out on the road. 3-liter EcoBoost. All right, it gets up and goes very quickly. That's one of the things that I really enjoy about this vehicle is the power. This thing makes 400 horsepower. It makes a fair bit of torque down low in the power band, and you got no problem accelerating quickly. It kind of feels like the V8s of old. And you know, one thing that I like, that sound. There is no fake piped-in engine sound, at least as far as I can tell. This sounds just like, I think, what the V6 is. I could be wrong, but this doesn't sound like it's piped in, and I appreciate that. Let's talk about the overall driving experience. So it does have a lot of power down low, and it does have this 10-speed automatic transmission, which for the most part is pretty good. But there's one thing that I'm going to complain about a little bit, and that is something called tip-in. It's when you first put your foot down on the accelerator, and it's how much power the vehicle gives you back. This has got a very sensitive throttle, and by that I mean you give it what feels like a third of the pedal, and it seems like you get almost all the power, so it's kind of difficult to modulate the throttle. And I think that is just so that people will feel like the vehicle is quick. But come on, Ford, the vehicle is legitimately quick. This is a pretty fast SUV by any standards. I think the ride quality is quite good in here, in my opinion. It is not soft. It's not overly harsh. You can feel the road, you can feel the bumps, and the handling seems to be pretty decent too for a vehicle of this size and class. This, of course, is not any kind of sports machine. This is not the ST version, even though it does have the ST version of the engine in here. So if you're looking for something a little more luxurious than the ST, I think this is going to fit the bill pretty nicely. So this starts at about $55,000, and this has got some options on it. So this is loaded up to about $59,000 with destination. So that's not inexpensive. Is it competitive for the price class? I think actually it is. So you think about the vehicles that are competing with this, you think about maybe the Toyota Highlander, for example. I think this is a much nicer vehicle overall. That just seems like sort of a generation behind almost. Is this competitive with other vehicles in the class? Well, you know, as it turns out, there's really not that many SUVs available to buy nowadays, only about it seems like 20,000 of them. And if you're looking at the domestics, you're probably looking at the GM products, you're looking at the Chevy, you might be looking at the Toyota. I think this is pretty competitive for the money. For about $59,000, the amount of luxury that you get in here and the way this thing drives, I think it's pretty good. I'm doing like okay in the corners. I've got a Civic Type R behind me now. I'm kind of holding him up a little bit, but I know who it is. It's my buddy Ethan from Hello Road. Hello, Ethan. Hello, Road. So yeah, let's go back and let's talk about how this vehicle stacks up. If you're in the market for a 3-row SUV, there is certainly a ridiculous amount of choices on the market right now, especially from General Motors. They have a wide variety of offerings. There's also Jeep and of course Toyota and some of the Japanese brands too. But one of the things that makes this different in my mind is the amount of power that this has for the money. And if you're a Ford person, I'm guessing you're probably not going to be cross-shopping those others too much. I think this is a pretty good offering. I don't like the screen that much, but otherwise the interior is really nice. I think it drives pretty well overall. It has a ton of space. It's very useful. Please subscribe if you're new. See you in the next one.